Alright, welcome to the first technical video in our course. In this part, we're going to go ahead and create the Xcode project that we're going to be building out. So this is Xcode 12.5. Go ahead and download it and open it up, and we're going to create a brand new project here. You want to stick with the app template under iOS, and let's go ahead and title our project Stocks. You want to make sure your language here is set to Swift, Lifecycle is UIKit, and interface is storyboard. Not to worry, we're going to be working programmatically, but we want to make sure we don't select Swift UI. So go ahead and continue, save the project wherever you'd like. I'll toss it onto my desktop. And we have some housekeeping to do before we go further. So first and foremost, we want to change our minimum iOS target here, our deployment target. So what actually is this? This is basically the minimum version of iOS that our users are going to need to have on their device to install our app. We're going to go with iOS 13, so that'll include, everything 13 and up. The next thing we want to do is we're going to uncheck iPad. Our app is only going to be compatible with iPhone, and we also want to go ahead and uncheck both landscape options here since we're only going to allow for portrait. Next up, we want to start cleaning up our project structure on the left-hand side here since we've got a bunch of files to start off with, but they're not really organized for us. So we're going to be using the MVVM architecture in our application. So model, view, view model. So let's go ahead and create 3 folders that we want. First and foremost, the first one will be models. Next up, we are going to have views. Third, we're going to want controllers. Now we're going to actually put the view models in the files where they are next to the views for which those view models belong. So we're not going to create a separate view model folder just for simplicity, but we definitely want these 3. Now we're also going to want 2 more folders. One of them I'm going to go ahead and call managers, and this will basically be anything to manage anything in our app like APIs and whatnot. And then finally, we want one more folder. Whoops, not a file. One more folder here. And this folder is going to be other. And you guessed it, anything that doesn't fall into these 4, we'll shove it into other. So let's go ahead and categorize this stuff. So app delegate, scene delegate, definitely other candidates. View controller, we're going to toss into controllers. Now assets, I like to put this into other, a little subjective where you put it. Some people put it into views. Now we're actually going to get rid of the main storyboard and we're going to create our UI programmatically. But for now, what we can go ahead and do is select both launch and main storyboard and drop them into our views. And this is basically our project structure. Now, before we move on, let's go ahead and select a simulator here, maybe the 12 Pro Max. Go ahead and hit that run button and make sure that your app is building and able to run in your simulator. We're just going to use the 12 Pro Max for the duration of our course and building this app out, but feel free to use your any other simulator or your own personal device as well. So here is our app. I believe my simulator is in fact in dark mode, which is why we see a black background, but it is in fact building, which is a good start. Now, what else are we going to need? So in this video, before we wrap it up, I just want to stub out some files. At a very high level, we'll talk about the things we're going to build. So first and foremost, view controller as a class name is terrible because it's super generic and very vague. So I'm going to actually rename this to be our watch list view controller, and it's going to represent basically the watch list for the user's stocks, anything they have in their watch list. Respectively, I'm also going to go ahead and rename the file here, and we're going to create a couple more files. Alright, so I'm going to right click controllers, Cocoa Touch class, and this is going to be a UI view controller subclass. And the next controller I want to create here is going to be a top stories news view controller. Now this is going to show basically trending news, top stories, not company specific. We're not going to modify any code, but let's just create a couple more files here. The next thing we're going to go ahead and create is going to be a search results view controller. And that's pretty self-explanatory what it's going to do for us. And I think we want one more, and this one is going to be a stock details view controller. And this is what we're going to use to render out details about a given stock that we, tap. So it's graph, it's related news, and all that good stuff. And right now, if you actually run your app after making these changes, you're actually going to you're going to see a mistake. You're going to see that your app is crashing. And that is actually expected because we renamed the view controller file here to watch list view controller. We're going to be getting rid of the storyboard in the next video. So if you have any issues at this point, not to worry, it's expected. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys in this part. Hopefully we're off to a good start. I will see you guys in the next part where we'll get rid of that view controller and be fully programmatic. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.